Okay. All right, well, hopefully they can hear me. I don't know if you can or not. Yes, okay, live from the North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Events Center. This is Steel City Sunday postgame show and a Steelers victory. How about that? What a game. Wild, crazy, outgained again, but they are the beneficiaries, the Steelers are, of 5 turnovers from the Patriots. Final score 21-14. Pittsburgh now 2-1 on the young season, and they led from the get-go. They never trailed in this contest, even though it was tied heading into the later stages of the fourth quarter. The Steelers were able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. We'll have our full post-game show for you. 2 hours. Jerry DePaula from the Tribune Review will be joining us about 4:30. Bill Akins and I are here at the North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Event Center. We are going to talk about this. We'll get your comments. You can follow us online at Steel City Sunday, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X as my wife and daughter. Bye-bye, babies. See you later. I'll be home in a couple hours. Just a wild game. I mean, in the sense that, Pittsburgh got out to that 14-0 lead, Bill, and they were able to control some momentum early on. They got the lead after a quarter of play, had a 14-0 lead, and New England really defeated themselves. I mean, they had multiple turnovers, several in the red zone, inside the 5 in back-to-back possessions that really did not help them at all, despite decent play from their quarterback, Drake May, who threw 2 touchdown passes, 268 yards. Man, you look at these numbers. New England threw the ball for 268 yards. They ran for 119 as a team. Collectively, nobody had more than 45 yards, and that was May at quarterback. We talked about him being somebody that could, facilitate both run and pass. And as a total, they were at 368 total offense. Conversely, for the Steelers, just over 200 yards of offense, but those 5 turnovers that the Patriots really shot themselves in the foot. And as I look at the play-by-play, it was really that second quarter, third quarter where they fumbled on the opening drive of the game. That led to the Steelers' first touchdown. And then in the second quarter, after trading touchdowns, an interception, and then again, the Steelers got picked off. Then the Patriots went fumble in that third quarter. It did not help them. They scored a touchdown and then fumbled again, and then on downs to end the game. Just a weird contest, but one that the Steelers' defense looked good at times. Not a great opponent once again, but they got 5 turnovers. TJ Watt with a couple of sacks. He finally got himself loose a little bit. Cam Hayward, a pass breakup. He had a really good afternoon defensively. And again, this wasn't the 85 Bears. This wasn't the Patriots from, 10, 15 years ago. This was a very different team, but they got it done, and you have to get it done against teams of this nature, and the Steelers did today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, 5 turnovers. I mean, you're not going to win with 5 turnovers. 4 fumbles, and all of them lost, and an interception. Yeah, I mean, they gift-wrapped that victory for to the Steelers. I think, I mean, come on, you're not 5 turnovers. You're not going to win like that.
No, you're not going to win games like that, without a doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt. So a very good win for the black and gold, takes them to 2-1 on the season. The Cincinnati Bengals getting railroaded today up in Minneapolis by the Vikings, and it looks like this game in Cleveland right now could end up being a victory for the Browns. They have the ball with under 2 minutes to go, a 10-10 score right now. We'll talk a little bit about some of the games here in progress as we kind of move along, as the late games will get started here shortly. As I mentioned, the Browns and the Packers from Cleveland, that game has just a few seconds left in it, and Cleveland is going to try to line up for a game-winning field goal. We'll see if they actually got the snap off to spike the ball, and they did. We'll see if Cleveland can pull out the outright upset in that contest. The Packers came in invincible, it looked like, and in the NFL, it's always a weird scenario. When things look like they're going to go one way, it's completely something different. We'll update you here in a few moments to see if the Browns can register their first victory of the season. 10-10 the score there. Cleveland with a chance to win their first on the year with a field goal. Late in the fourth quarter from our nation's capital, Washington leads Las Vegas by a score of 41-24 in that contest. Looking at some of the numbers, Marcus Mariota playing today, 15 of 21 for 206 yards and a touchdown. Geno Smith throwing the ball pretty well in a loss, 289 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Washington as a team ran for 3 touchdowns in this game. Under 2 minutes to go. The Commanders are looking to go to 2-1 on the season. Tampa Bay hanging on in Tampa. It looks like with under 3 minutes to go in the contest, Tampa Bay 26, the Jets 20. They've been hanging around all afternoon. A good game for sure. Tampa Bay close to being 3-0. Seconds to go in Philadelphia. A pair of 2-0 teams in the NFC squaring off. It is the Eagles, who trailed this entire game, now leading 27-26, and it's 3 seconds left. We're going to see if we can get to a scenario. Yeah, it looks like the Eagles are going to win and cover. Unbelievable. What a play. Did they block a field goal? Was that what it was?
Block field goal, yep.
A touchdown. Wow. Unbelievable. So, yeah. Philadelphia, I guess.
Eagles fans here.
The Rams were setting up to try and tie the game or win the game. And the Eagles somehow get a turnover and a touchdown.
Yeah,
and,
wow.
It's Eagles 33, Rams 26. Philadelphia 3-0, and they cover the 3.5. My Lord, I am really, really bad right now. I'm looking at Paul's picks and my picks. Paul about to be 4-0 because it looks like the Browns have won. It looks like Cleveland has won, and the Eagles are going to cover. The Browns have won 13-10. They upset. It was a blocked field goal return for a touchdown. Unbelievable. What a wild finish to the Eagles game. Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Paul Zeiss 4-0 from earlier today. I'm 1-3. Well, there you go. Unbelievable finish. The Eagles, who were down 19-7 at the half, outscore the Rams 26-0 in the second half. And there is your difference maker. That game is now final. 33-26. The Eagles have defeated the Los Angeles Rams. Let's give you a couple other finals in the NFL. Carolina shuts out Atlanta 30-0. Also a final score, Indianapolis 41, Tennessee 20. 2 minutes to go, fourth quarter, Minnesota 48, Cincinnati 10. Less than 30 seconds to go from Jacksonville. Houston has the football. They're in Jaguars territory, but it's Jacksonville leading that one by a score of 17-10. We are at the North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Event Center. John Phillips, Bill Akins alongside of me. This is Steel City Sunday post-game show. Steelers defeat the New England Patriots. The curse of the throwbacks is now officially over. The Patriots were 12-0 in their throwbacks. The Steelers kill that one right there. And Mike Tomlin records a victory in New England. I had that stat earlier. It's been a
Yeah, they were 1-8 in the last 9.
Yeah, 1-8. I think it was very early in his career that they went up there and win.
2011.
Yeah, I think it was the year Tom Brady was actually.
Yeah, they were going against Matt Castle that year.
Yeah, he was injured. So so Tomlin erases that 14 years. That curse is now over. Looks like the Jaguars have secured victory against the Tennessee Titans. They're going to move to 2-1 on the year. But to get back to the Steelers and talk a little bit about their victory today, these 3 games, there's no consistency in terms of how they won and lost. Sometimes you can look at something and there's a parallel and you can say they got excellent play here, but this was deficient, and there's similar tendencies in these games. The first one, they were down for the majority of the game, but they battled back and they ended up winning. The last one, the one just most recently, a couple of weird turnovers in the second half, up at halftime, tied at the 3 quarters, and then just a bad stretch of plays dooms them in their home opener. And then today, they get up 14-0. And they weren't, the early drives, as I go back to the play-by-play and I take a look at this, they benefit from a turnover, which turns into an 8-play, 54-yard drive, which is capped off by a touchdown that was scored late in that middle of that drive by Garnwell, a 1-yard touchdown run that gave them a 7-0 lead. And then New England gets the ball back, 6 plays, they punt. And then the Steelers put together by far their best drive of the year. 12 plays, 90 yards. They took 6:23 off the clock. And eventually it's Aaron Rodgers to DK Metcalf for a 12-yard touchdown. And the Steelers are up 14-0, and life is good. New England comes back with a 9-play, 77-yard drive of their own. But that's where things got really bad for New England, because after that, interception, fumble, before they were able to tie the game up in the fourth quarter. And then another turnover leads to a 9-play, 62-yard drive where the Steelers score and take the lead 21-14. Calvin Austin completing the drive with a 17-yard touchdown reception from Aaron Rodgers, who on the afternoon, as I look up his numbers, Rodgers was efficient. He had 1 interception, but threw for only 139 yards, but the 2 touchdowns didn't hurt them really at the end of the day. They didn't get the ground game going like we had hoped to. Just 64 yards on the ground. Jaylen Warren, 18 carries, 47 yards, struggled all day long to run the football. But the beneficiaries of 5 turnovers, 4 fumbles, an interception, 5 sacks. The defense took advantage of a very, very suspect New England Patriots team, and they come out with a victory 21-14.
Well, breaking down some of these turnovers, John, hey, listen, right off the bat, I thought the Steelers got some good pressure against New England. You look at that first turnover. Cole Holcomb with that punch out, and then picked up by Slay. That was, hey, you know what? That was a great play by Holcomb to punch it out. Slay was right there to pick it up, and that was and then you get points. What do we have? 14 points off the turnovers total. Yeah. So I mean, that's good. That's what you want. Just looking at some other stuff.
What that should be better. Not sure how that ended up being the way it did, but hey.
Yep.
Okay, much better. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they scored 14 points off the 2 turnovers. And just going back and looking at the play-by-play, the initial fumble led to a touchdown. They then had that interception after that long drive in the second quarter, which was 17 plays and 92 yards. It ended the half. And then the teams traded turnovers to begin the third quarter. The Steelers threw a pick deep in their own territory. That ball got returned all the way down to the Pittsburgh 11. And then 2 plays later, the Pats fumbled it away. The Steelers go 3 and out. The Pats turn it over yet again, another 3 and out, and then a touchdown. And then, of course, the fumble in the fourth quarter that led to the 9-play, 62-yard drive where the Steelers were able to regain the lead and secure victory.
In that final drive, I tell you what, they were moving. Jalen Warren, they got him involved, a couple dump passes off to him. He had a couple, I think it was a draw play that he got pretty nice yardage on. And then to top everything off with that touchdown to Calvin Austin. You know what? I thought Watt had a better game. I mean, obviously he had, 2 sacks, I think, and 5 solo tackles, something like that.
Yes.
How about Derek Harmon getting the first sack of the game? Him and Hayward. Hayward, I think, got a half a sack on that play. But, the big guy getting involved, coming off that knee injury, getting involved, and it's nice to see. I don't know. I mean, I thought our offense was lethargic a little bit, wouldn't you say?
Offense was very tepid.
Yeah.
Yeah, very tepid. But they benefited from 5 turnovers.
Right. I mean, you're not going to win with 5 turnovers. Like
if the opponent, the Jets have the lead now on Tampa Bay 27-26. It's a dog-eat-dog day here in the NFL. Look, when a team turns the ball over that many times, they're just not going to win a game. You know what I mean? Like I would have to go back and look at it, but I can't imagine many teams that have turned the ball over in the last 40 years of the NFL, at least 5 times in a game, won.
Right. Very rare.
So the first touchdown was set up because they were in short yardage, and so that helps. And then, the second touchdown they scored, the last touchdown they scored, I should say, off of a turnover. They were in short yardage there. Well, they weren't in short yardage here. I take that back. That touchdown was that was a 62-yard drive after an 8-play, 45-yard drive by the Patriots. I think that was the May turnover that they were driving, and it allowed the Steelers to get the ball back and then drive. But if you're looking at their 3 touchdown drives today, 8 plays, 54 yards. Okay, and then they had a 12-play, 90-yard drive. So in reality, they turned the 2 turnovers out of the 5 into touchdowns, but both were on the other side of the 50, on their side of the 50. So they did have to, move the ball downfield some. In fact, their 3 touchdown drives of 54 yards, 90 yards, and then the last one was 62 yards. So they made it count off the 2 turnovers when they needed to. The drives were sufficient, but outside of that, and if we just look at the numbers, and I'm just trying to do some math in my head here as I'm on the fly. So that touchdown drive was 54, and then add another, that's 144. And then they had one more drive of 146, 206 on 3 touchdown drives, right? Now let's look at the rest of the drives. A punt, 3 and out, end of half, 4 plays, interception, 0 yards. That was to start the second half. Then a punt, 3 and out, then a punt, 3 and out, another punt after 5 plays, and then end of game. So, if they weren't putting touchdown drives together, they were 3 and out for the most part.
Right.
All afternoon.
Well, and I tell you, the Patriots had some defensive penalties that hurt them as well. Going into this game, I think they were 31st in the league. So they were, but they had some costly defensive penalties that really hurt them. And hey, not to change the subject, but how about Rodgers with that touchdown pass? It goes to 509, go fourth all time. He's in what? He's 30 away from catching.
Yeah, he's at 29 now.
Yeah.
29 from catching. Who's he going to catch?
I think it was Manning, wasn't it?
It is. Yeah. It's Peyton Manning. That's right. Because it's Manning, and then it's Drew Brees, and then it's Tom Terrific.
And that touchdown that he threw to Metcalf, beautiful touchdown. It was a nice timing route, and they were just couldn't have gotten much nicer than that. So.
Before we get Jerry DePaula on here, I wanted to address a couple of people that have passed away here this past week. First being Dale Lawley, who has covered the Steelers for over 30 years, Washington County native, worked for the Steelers, was on their Steeler Nation radio. I had the pleasure of having lunch with him one time years ago when I worked at 93.7 The Fan. Dale lost a battle with cancer earlier in the week. The New England Patriots PR team paid tribute to him today with a picture and some flowers. He is I wouldn't profess to say that I knew Dale very well, but I do, I did have at least lunch with him one time, and when I did work at the Fan, and we want to send condolences to his family on the loss of Dale Lawley, Pittsburgh guy, Western Pennsylvania guy, and a member of the Steelers media and Steelers family. And this one's hard because this guy found out just as soon as we were coming off the air today. We do a segment called Consig's Picks, and I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Dave Sharapan, who is from the Green Tree area, grew up in that area. Dave was a Penn State graduate, worked in the islands of Caracas at Offshore Books, was a bookmaker for years, eventually moved to Las Vegas and worked the circuit around there before joining the sports media in Las Vegas, talking about gambling. Dave was battling cancer during the summer, went to UCLA for surgery. It was successful, but a series of unfortunate health events led to Dave's passing last night. And, I got to know Dave through a mutual friend of mine in Las Vegas a few years ago when I was in Las Vegas, when I was in South Carolina living. Dave befriended me. We became text buddies. I would watch him on Sports Grid TV. He'd shout out to me. We would talk about things in the sports world whenever I, had a moment of clarity, and would just touch base with him, and he was just fantastic. The photos from last year when I moved back here to Pittsburgh, he came to the city, and we met after a Pirates game at the Rivers Casino, and we just hung out, and he's such a super guy. And Dave passed away last night. I had recently spoken to him a few weeks ago. I was on the road last week, and I reached out to him, and it was odd not to hear from him. I tried to reach out to him again last night, nothing. And then when we got off the air at 12:50 today, I happened to see Bill Krakenberger, who is a Las Vegas professional gambler. He works for VSiN, real sharp guy. You can find him on Wager Talk as well. He released the news that David passed away last night. And I told Dave right before we went on the air, I said, I'm going to name this segment after you. And it's just my way of saying thank you for how, you just were a kind soul. And R.I.P. to Dave Sharapan, sportsbook consigliere, his wife and 3 kids. He leaves behind a wife and 3 children. What more can we say, Dave? We're going to miss you. You were one of a kind, one of one. So rest in peace to Dale Lawley and Dave Sharapan, members of the sports world. Dave, of course, a Pittsburgh guy, both of them Pittsburgh guys, but we wanted to bring that up as we move along here in our post-game show. I didn't want to ignore that. And before we get to Jerry D, I wanted to bring that up. So I appreciate you putting the picture up there for us. And that's Dave Sharapan. Rest in peace, my friend. I hope you are feeling better on the other side. Okay, Steel City Sunday here, brought to you by Arch Masonry and Restoration. They are hiring here in Pittsburgh. Folks, I've been in the construction business for over a decade. I've worked with Arch for over 10 years now. They are hiring concrete finishers, they're hiring bricklayers, they're hiring block layers, they're looking for labor help. And if you don't have any experience in that latter portion, that's okay. If you're looking to jumpstart your career in the building trades, Arch Masonry can teach you on the job. They've got advancement programs and classes that can really help you get a start in the construction fields. And the building trades right now are a great option for people, especially if you're young and you're looking for something that you can learn on the job. Call Arch and learn more about them at 412-564-5733 or visit their website, archmasonryinc.com. To learn more about them. Great company, very competitive wages, safety program, bonus programs, great healthcare plan. You want to learn more about them, archmasonryinc.com to learn more about that. We are here at the North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Event Center. It's John Phillips and Bill Akins, Steel City Sunday post-game show as we await the arrival of Jerry DePaula of the Pittsburgh Tribune Review, formerly of the Trib. I hate saying that. I'm sure he's happy to be retired, but Jerry spent nearly 40 years in the media covering sports, covered the Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, you name it, every major college and pro team here. Jerry probably wrote a story about them or two. We're going to have him on in just a few minutes to talk about today's game, and he's going to be a regular on our post-game show. I can't begin to poor Dutch. My poor friend Andy Dutch Wido, who's in a hospital in Uniontown, he gave out the Rams plus 3.5, and he's texting me. He goes, "Horrible loss. I'm very sorry." People get moosed. That's what happens when you put a couple chocolate chip cookies up on a few games. That's what's going to happen sometimes. A few of those. I don't even know if the Bucs game is now officially over. Before we get Jerry on, let's see if we can recap the final scores across the early games in the NFL. For some reason, Minnesota and Cincinnati are still playing football. That game's 48-10. Vikings on top. They're about to move to 2-1. All of these are now officially final. Indianapolis beat Tennessee 41-20. Jacksonville over Houston 17-10. Carolina gets their first win. They shut out Atlanta 30-0. Philadelphia 33. LA Rams 26. The Jets have the football at their 25, apparently, and they lead Tampa Bay 27-26. Washington beat the Las Vegas Raiders 41-24. Cleveland pulls out a victory at home 13-10. They beat Green Bay. That's a final score there. And the Jets, Tampa Bay comes back with a field goal at the gun to defeat the Jets 29-27, your final score there. Baker Mayfield leading a drive late in the end of the game to get the victory. The Bucs are now 3-0 on the young season. We're just moments away from Jerry DePaula. Bill Akins with me. Bill, let's talk about T.J. Watt today.
Yeah.
He had to, again, and Matt Peralt talked about this, the Patriots' offensive line. Look, they combined, they ran for over 100 yards, and and for what it's worth, Mac Jones looked pretty decent throwing the football. But 5 turnovers and 5 sacks by the Steelers defense. Give them credit, and T.J. Watt finally cutting loose a little bit on this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, he was, and you know what? He was getting chipped and double teamed. So, yeah. But he was able to, they had that one. They had some injuries to the line, which I think, maybe attributed to that. But when you look at it, like we said, he had 5 solo tackles, 2 sacks, and then he had that final turnover by the Patriots, that 5th turnover. He had fumble recovery. So, he had a good day. I mean, I think he went, 6 games without having a sack. Yeah. So, he's hopefully we can see hopefully we see that kind of production from him, moving forward. I'm hoping, but
Yeah, critical win today. Critical win.
yeah,
And they're going to get a Minnesota Vikings team next week that'll have probably Carson Wentz at quarterback. So, that in and of itself will pose some different problems for them. And, the Vikings, for what it's worth, they were a playoff team last year. They did lose at home in their wild card to the Rams, but, nonetheless, a pretty decent football team. They're going to pose problems next week. They're going to pose some problems next week. Both teams are going to have to make the travel out to Ireland. They're going to have to put numbers up. That could end up being a track meet, but,
I wonder what the weather's going to be like for that game, because I know when they played the college game, what was it, Kansas State and Iowa State,
Iowa
I believe?
State, the weather was terrible.
Yeah,
it wasn't great.
Yeah, it was raining, and I don't know whether you saw that or not, but whatever they used to, whatever they used to with the field, the lines and everything was starting to like bleed off. I don't know if you saw that. Like the rain was just washing away the line. So I don't know what kind of I don't know what they use over there, but it was pretty sloppy conditions for that college game. Hoping that it's a dry game, and we don't have any weather to deal with. But
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me fine. So we're not getting any sound on our Facebook page. I'll have to figure that one out. I guess we'll just have to drop out of that for right now. It is what it is. We'll get this all figured out here in short order. All right, seconds away from Jerry DePaula coming on board. He should be popping in here any second now to join us for post-game show. We'll take you till about 5:30 or so, and then wrap things up as the Steelers get a victory today, 21-14. Final score, 5 turnovers, 5 sacks. Not a good opponent for sure. But as we've talked about, and I know Zig Fracassi mentioned this in the pregame, you can't fault teams when they beat their bad opponents. You have to beat the bad opponents.
Right.
And that's mission critical, right? Last week's game was fairly a toss-up, and it ended up not going in their favor, and that had something to do with, those 2 bad turnovers in the fourth quarter, and that's going to happen. Those things are going to happen. They had a lead at half. They were tied after 3, but in this particular contest, the Steelers capitalized on that early turnover. It wasn't a long field, but it wasn't a short field. It was they were in minus territory to begin the drive, but they converted. And again, their 3 touchdown drives today all started in minus territory.
Right.
So, we talked about how bad they were on all the other possessions, right? They had, I think it was 7 additional possessions. I'm going to go back and look at it right now. It was either 6 or 7 additional possessions outside of their 3 scoring drives. The first 2 scoring drives of the day, their 2 first possessions of the day resulted in touchdowns. 8 plays, 54 yards, 4:53 off the clock. Then in the second quarter, capping off a drive that began in the first quarter, 12 plays, 90 yards, and 6:23 off the clock. They went punt, end of half, interception, punt, touchdown, and end of game. So, they didn't string drives together if they weren't scoring touchdowns, and that's inconsistency on the offensive side. I'm just kind of going back here and just looking at the box score. I don't think they had the 1 interception by Rodgers. They did not they did not lose a fumble. They had 1 fumble. Jonnu Smith fumbled the ball once, but it was recovered, and so they only had the 1 turnover. So again, the silver lining, they got the victory. They were outgained, but they won the turnover battle, and they forced 5 sacks, which is definitely a good thing. And then, of course, you look on the other side, didn't give up a single sack today. Didn't give up a single sack today.
I know. How about that? I mean, that's a breath of fresh air. I mean,
and much needed, and that's why it's a little weird that I'm hearing the pregame show now. Okay, Jerry says he's in. Is Jerry in? Jerry, you have to click the link. Yeah, he's not in there.
Mm-mm.
He says he can hear the show. I don't know. Let's give him a call, see if you can work it out with him. Maybe. We'll see. Go to the email, Jerry, and click the link, and then you can join us. We're in the post-game show here at the North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Event Center. It's Steel City Sunday. John Phillips here with you, hopefully joined by Jerry DePaula in just a few minutes. And you can go over to the YouTube channel if you need to as well. If you're watching on Facebook or you can join us on YouTube at Steel City Sunday. I believe Jerry DePaula has found his way into our StreamYard, or at least he's going to try to get into StreamYard. We'll hopefully have him here in just a few minutes. That's the other story. No sacks given up today. Not bad, right? Progress. Some progress was made with the offensive line today. I still don't like it, and I'm still concerned about a week from today. They're going to play a pretty decent football team in a week. The best of the four that they will have faced. And, look, to get to 2-2 at the break, probably a victory, right? You want to be, hopeful you can be 3-1. Lots to happen still. But Minnesota comes in as a team that is to be reckoned with. The Vikings are 2-1 on this season, and they can score some points. As I'm pulling up their numbers now, as the schedule looks, now they did not play well last week in Atlanta, but they did score 27 on the road against Chicago, and then the 48 today against a depleted Cincinnati Bengals team that was without Joe Burrow. That certainly makes a big difference in a game of this nature, but Minnesota can score. And we'll see how they play next week against the Steelers. But before we get to that, we want to talk a little bit about this game and continue to discuss the breakdown as the Steelers were victors today, 21-14, the final score. Anything from Jerry by any chance? No. Okay. Well, let's see. It says I'm backstage. I think he's in the pregame link. Hang on, Jerry. Could be the wrong link. Give me 1 second here, Jerry. I think I might have sent Jerry the wrong link. It's possible. Yeah, I'm going to send you a new one here, Jerry. Hang on a second here. All right, I think that's the one, Jerry. We're going to send you a new link. Do us a favor and click on the new one. And I think we'll be able to get you in this way. Can't do this in television, can you? There's a whole bunch of people in the back of a TV station figuring out the problems. The host is just supposed to kind of ramble on, but that's why we're online. We can do these sorts of things, and hopefully we'll be able to figure this out here pretty quickly. Jerry should be able to. That's what I thought. Okay. The man, the myth, the legend himself, going to join us now here from his home in Cranberry. Please welcome my good friend Jerry DePaula. How you doing, Jerry?
Good. Can you hear me, John?
I can hear you just fine, sir. Together again.
I don't hear you that great, though.
Geez, I don't know. Let's try and let's bump the volume up a little bit more. Is that any better? Is that any better? Is that better?
Not really, no.
No, geez.
I can hear you. I don't care about hearing what I have to say.
Well, that's more important, I would think. What thoughts on the victory? Let's just get your thoughts after what all that took place, and we'll try to get into some specifics.
Well, there's going to be a lot of talk in this game, after this game, about how lucky the Steelers were. The Patriots didn't play very well. 4 fumbles lost, an interception in the end zone. But, most of those turnovers by the Patriots were forced by the Steelers. Cam Hayward had the tip pass.
Yep.
That led to the interception by Eccles in the end zone. The strip sack by Herbig made the big fumble recovery by T.J. Watt. 5 sacks of Drake May. 2 by T.J. Watt, who had one in 6 previous games. The defense, was maybe lucky in a way because the Patriots didn't play very well. A lot of penalties early, but they made the big plays when they had to. And Aaron Rodgers came through with a nice pass, two touchdown passes, bookending the game, including the one that won the game to Austin. But I think that the Patriots have a better quarterback. I'd be more happy in 2026 with Drake May than Aaron Rodgers. But for 2025, Aaron Rodgers can do just fine as long as the defense holds up and they can run the game, which they didn't do very well today.
Under Mike Tomlin now since 2007, the Steelers are now 106, 65-2 in one-possession games. They've played the most in one-possession games in that time span. They have the highest winning percentage in these contests, and the next closest team is the Chargers, who played 167. That's from Ryan Scarpino, our good friend, who formerly spent 6 or 7 years in the media relations team of the Steelers. I love Scarps. He's a great follow on X. He loves to pump out those numbers. Okay, so they did benefit from the 5 turnovers, and they definitely forced a handful of those. They capitalized on 2 of those with touchdown drives, Jerry, but the majority of their possessions were 3 and out.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great offensive performance at all by the Steelers, but it was enough to win the game because the Patriots were so inept, and the defense came through. Yeah,
and again, look, you have to beat everybody that's in front of you, no matter how good or bad they are. The Jets were horrible. They led most of the game. They came back at the end and won. In this particular case, they never trailed. They were the beneficiaries of turnovers, but they capitalized. 5 sacks. I mentioned this just a few minutes ago. They didn't give up a sack today.
To the team that was leading the league in sacks, right?
That's right. They came in with 9.
Right.
They came in with 9. So, they held New England to 0 sacks. They turned the ball over, forced 5 turnovers. I mean, really a perfect scenario for what it's worth. And the 3 touchdown drives all were in minus territory.
Right.
So they had to put drive when they got the ball and they were functioning offensively, they scored. So and it's all situational week to week, but a really nice start for this team. Very good for them heading into what will be their toughest test to date when they get Minnesota next week.
Yeah, 48 points the Vikings put on the Bengals today. They got to play the game in London. I'll say this: the much maligned Steeler offensive tackles, Jones and Fatanu, didn't really hurt themselves. Didn't really play that badly today. But Aaron Rodgers is getting hit several. He wasn't sacked, but he's getting hit several times, and you can tell the frustration on his face. He's irritated. He's getting hit. He's getting hit. They're helping him up, and the poor guy's 41 years old, and there were no sacks to lose yardage, but there were sacks that is going to wear on Rodgers as the season goes on, as games go on. So they really have to play better on the offensive line than they did today. Look at Jaylen Warren. I wrote, taking a lot of notes today, John, because I know you wanted me to watch the game diligently, and I did. 6 carries for 32 yards for Warren right off the bat. Ended the game with what? 18 carries, 47 yards. That's 12 carries for 15 yards after the start. You got to do Gainwell. He did a little bit, but not much. You got to do much better. The running game was supposed to be better this year. Everybody was ripping Najee Harris, 2,000-yard rusher over the past several years. Not you. I'm not saying you, John. Not saying you.
I mean, look, people with brighter minds and bigger paychecks make these decisions, right?
Brighter minds than you, John? Does anybody exist that fits that description? I don't know.
I'd say my wife, but she did marry me, so there's questions there for sure. But, look, I would have preferred to if they had brought him back one more year. I was concerned about Warren getting 15, 20 touches and not being as explosive. Now, he had, like you said, he started out gangbusters, right? He had that big explosive play last week, but for the most part, he's under 4 yards a carry. He might be closer to 3, actually. You take away a handful of those big explosive plays, and his average is not very good, and that was a concern.
You can't take away those big explosive plays.
You can't. You're right. They do. Well, they help the average for sure, but the sum of it all. I'm looking at, that's what I'm looking at. And I'm not trying to take the away and say, well, he's only 2.8 yards a carry. He's not. you have to. I'm okay with that, but I'm trying to look at the sum of everything when it comes to Warren, and I'll break it down this week. I'll take a look at every single play. I'll go through all the play-by-plays and really try to analyze it and get a good look. But this was my concern. And they gave, and the other thing was the extension. Like they didn't have to do that, but they extended him and gave him what, $15 million? They gave him like $15 million, and so okay. But, again, what's the ROI here? I mean, I know, again, 7, 8, 9 touches a game and the explosiveness over 2 or 3 seasons is great. But being an everyday back in the NFL is a completely different story. And again, the way they're going about things is their business. Who am I to question a guy who's won a Super Bowl and been in 2 and has ever had a losing season? Hard to, but
a lot of people question him, John. You won't question Mike Tomlin.
I know, and I get it, and I understand why. And I've questioned him for quite a long time. But they are 2-1 right now. They did exactly what they were supposed to do against an inferior opponent, and I wondered why they were favored. And the books again. We're right.
They're never wrong.
Yeah, it's rare that they are wrong for sure.
They built those Taj Mahals in Vegas. It's not by accident.
I was in a couple of them back in August for sure. I did take them for some money though.
Oh,
well, I shouldn't say that. I got back what I lost at the last minute. Is how it ended up. But
you're not buying tonight then at North Park Lounge. Then
I'm all for you, Jerry. I'm always buying, pal. All right, we'll get you out here next week. We'll get another headset next week. Actually, not next week. When we get to the bye week, after the bye week, we'll get you out here. We'll get another headset.
Can't wait.
It's going to be exciting. Jerry DePaula, who has spent many years writing about Pittsburgh sports, joining us here in our post-game show. It's Steel City Sunday, post-game edition. Steelers beat up New England. They led from the start. The Patriots tied it up in the fourth quarter, but the black and gold get a touchdown drive, and they're able to hold on for the victory. We've talked a little bit about Jaylen Warren. Let's talk a little bit about DK Metcalf. Quiet once again, but he's explosive. You know what I mean? Like when they do get him the football, explosive. That touchdown reception that he had, a hard individual to break down, to take down, especially, and they weren't able to do it on that touchdown reception he had.
It's the contested catches that sets him apart. He's a bigger guy, a stronger guy than most wide receivers. He looks almost like a tight end. He only had 3 catches for 32 yards today. But he made the catch in the corner of the end zone there, where he was, blanketed pretty good by the D-back. I think that's money well spent. We talk about, Warren getting money. Warren had 23 touches today. That's probably why they extended him. But Metcalf got huge money, millionaire money, and they're going to need him. Now, there's been a lot of talk about, the Steelers need a number 2 wide receiver. Oh, my goodness, they don't have anybody else that can catch the ball besides Metcalf. Well, guess what? Calvin Austin in 2 out of the 3 games have been pretty darn good.
He has been 3 catches, 34 yards, the game-winning touchdown today in the victory as well. Let's take a look at, and I just want to pull up, let's see here. Let's go back to Aaron Rodgers. Efficient today. Efficient is the best way to describe him. 2 more touchdown passes. Did get picked off once, but hasn't hurt them in 3 games.
No, really.
Has not hurt them.
Really.
And that's important. We're getting some comments on YouTube. Ronnie Hunter says maybe we should pass to run more. I don't know if they're set up for that. Maybe they have to try.
How many attempts did Rodgers have today? Not all.
23.
And a lot of those were at the end, and he was throwing a lot of sideways passes.
Yeah.
And they worked a few times. But I really think they should throw more down the middle of the field, 15, 20 yards, rather than to the sideline, or to screen passes to either a tight end or a running back. I just think, they finally did in the fourth quarter, and he threw it in the end zone, and he won the game. So I really think that they need to take more chances in the passing game because their running game right now is a little less than mediocre. And you can't win in the NFL like that. They play good teams coming up, like the Vikings next week, and the Ravens and everybody else later on. They're not going to be able to be able to win games without a running game like they won the game today. So they have to really be able to pass the game to set up the run, I think.
Yeah, and with a 41-year-old quarterback, they did protect him today. They didn't give up a sack, which was certainly good.
He got hit too many times in my
Well, they did pressure him. There's no question they pressured him. They didn't actually bring him down, which was, I guess, against a team that came in with 9 sacks is good. But again, as you mentioned, they did knock him around a few times for sure, and that's never good. That's going to happen over the course of a game. Unfortunately, I think you get 55, 60 snaps in, a defense is going to get a chance to tee off from time to time. But yeah, he only threw the ball 23 times. Was efficient enough in the victory, and they moved to 2-1. Let's get you quickly updated, and we'll get back with Jerry DePaula, longtime writer here in Pittsburgh, talk about some of these games from the 1 o'clock window. The Green Bay Packers, I don't know what happened. For the last 2 weeks, Cleveland's defense has just been lights out for whatever reason. They were unable to win last week, or the week opener against Cincinnati. Last week they keyed against the run last week. They were not able to win. But today, down 10-0, Jerry, they storm back in Browns fashion and kick a field goal at the end of the game to win 13-10. They score all their points in the fourth quarter. Somehow Joe Flacco there's another 40-something quarterback, 21 of 36 for 142 yards, but they managed to get 2 field goals late, and they get the victory over Green Bay, who came in looking invincible, and they lose to the Browns 13-10, the final score there. Let's get to some other finals. Washington, no problems with the Raiders, 41-24. Tampa Bay defeats the Jets, 29. Did they really? Okay, so there you go.
Touchdown. Right.
So they were down 26-20. So Tampa kicks a field goal to try to get a 2-score lead.
Win it.
Oh, my.
Return for a touchdown.
Philadelphia defeats the Rams 33-26. Did you see the end of that game?
There's another block field goal in that game, right?
That's right. Allowed the Eagles to cover in that one. They were 3.5-point favorites.
It's important to cover, right? It's important to cover, right?
Good teams win, great teams cover. Out of the Falcons, 30-0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a pretty ugly game.
Surprising. You don't see many times.
No, that's very true. That's hard to shut anybody out. Good point. Jacksonville beat Houston 17-10. The Jaguars quietly 2-1. Indianapolis is 3-0.
Because he's one of my quarterbacks for my fantasy team. They're 0-3. The Texans are. Am I allowed to say something on the air?
You can say just about anything you want as long as there's. Indianapolis beats up Tennessee 41-20. Pittsburgh, of course, 21-14 over New England. Minnesota 48-10 over the Bengals. And the Thursday night game, Buffalo beating Miami. We mentioned that one, 31-21. Couple games, Chicago leads Dallas 7-3. San Francisco and Arizona, no score. Seattle out to a 21-0 lead over Denver. Ronnie Hunter says, here we go, Steelers.
Ronnie Hunter made a very good point about 40-year-old quarterbacks. Flacco and Rodgers doing well today.
Yeah, they are doing well. Let's bring Bill Akins in here to talk a little bit about what we're seeing. So, question for Jerry DePaula.
Well, Jerry, I said it was going to. The Steelers were going to have to come up with some turnover today. They certainly did that. The job that T.J. Watt did. I mean, he had 5 solo tackles, 2 sacks. They had that fumble recovery on the last Patriots drive. I thought, you know what, I was getting kind of concerned when, he hadn't had a sack in like 6 games. I said, maybe they need to move him around a bit. Maybe they need to do something to, They had a good game as well. But let's focus on T.J. Watt. What did you see from him?
You did. Well, T.J. Watt getting 2 sacks and getting, one at the end, and big fumble. We got to play that way.
Yep.
I don't need maybe 2 sacks every game. That would be what 34 sacks. It'd be way too many. But if he gets 2 sacks in one game, and then one maybe next week against the Vikings. Drake made 5 times today, not just DJ Watt. Hayward had that big sack early, with Carmen, and then he had the big deflection that led to the interception. So they need Watt, they need Hayward, they need that front. We watch football long enough. Games are won in the trenches, and this game today, as far as I'm concerned, was one of the trenches because Watt, Hayward, Harmon, in the offensive line, it didn't allow a sack for the Steelers. Won the game for the Steelers because they forced a lot of those mistakes by the Patriots.
Yeah, they have, and the offensive line play, your defensive line play, so critical in football, and look, they're struggling. They have struggled through 3 games, though today.
And 0 run game. That's bad.
Look, mixed bag on the protection. They did not allow a sack, but Rodgers got knocked around a little bit for sure. No running game whatsoever this week. You're right about that. But the defense finally had a good game against a poor team. And, they did not have a good game against a poor team in week 1. They played better last week, but a couple turnovers in the fourth quarter do them in. They had mixed bag today for sure. But snatching victory away, so important. I felt 2-2 going into the bye would be acceptable for this team. I really think they're a 7-8 win team. But for whatever reason, Mike Tomlin seems to conjure up. I don't know if he's got mystics hiding down there on the south side, or he's got some soothsayer he goes to.
It's only 2-1, John. I mean, 2-1 is nice. Yeah.
But right. Well, hey, he may see. It seems like you go back and you look. He does steal a game here and there. I mean, it just and some. I've talked to some people that have covered the team recently. They think that in the last few seasons that they should have been 6-7 win teams, but because of Tomlin, they ended up winning 9 games.
That's why they keep him. All those people are saying fire Tomlin. That's why Art Rooney keeps him, because he wins games that you think he should lose, and he keeps the team competitive all the way through. Now he's been horrible in the postseason, and that's where he matters. Where the rubber meets the road in the postseason, he's been horrible as a coach, and the team has been horrible. This team to me is not special, and it's headed toward another 9-8, 10-7 season. And unless they get a favorable matchup in the playoffs, they're going to be knocked out in the first round unless they get their problems solved, and that includes no running game.
Yeah, no running game indeed. They are definitely struggling right there for sure. Any game balls you want to give out, just out of curiosity? Who do you give a game ball out to today, Jerry?
How about TJ Watt with 2 sacks?
Yeah.
I think, and how about Harmon? First game as a rookie playing after hurting his knee, he did okay. He got a sack early. On offense, game balls, Aaron Rodgers hung in there. He threw two nice touchdown passes. He was struggling for a while. He threw a really bad interception. I don't know what he was looking at there. But as far as the game balls for the offense, unless it's Austin or DK Metcalf, I wouldn't give it to anybody other than the quarterback. But the quarterback is the guy that's going to win you games like this.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. We're at the North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Event Center. This is Steel City Sunday post-game show. John Phillips, Jerry DePaula with us, Bill Akins. This portion of our broadcast brought to us by Arch Masonry and Restoration. They are hiring here in Pittsburgh. At this time of year, a lot of construction companies slow down. Arch Masonry is gearing up. They're looking for block layers, brick layers, concrete finishers, construction labor. If you're looking to jumpstart your career and you have no experience, no problem. They have programs with advancement, placement, and classes that can get your building trades career going. 412-564-5733 or visit archmasonryinc.com. Folks, I've been in construction for over a decade. I'm telling you right now, there are a lot of pretenders out there. Arch Masonry, very good company to work for. Check them out on the web, Arch Masonry Inc. Jerry, you ready to start laying brick and block for $35 an hour?
Well, I am retired. I don't have a job except working for you and some other things I'm doing. But if I worked in a construction site, I would certainly drop a cement block on my toes or somebody else's toes.
I can't listen. I can get you on a prevailing wage job, making $78 an hour tomorrow. Are you ready to sling some double 12s for that?
What's a double 12?
A double 12 is the largest cement block you got. It's terrible. Guys that sling double 12s are a different breed of human being. Now they don't do it for 20 or 30 years because that's hard on the body. But it's.
I couldn't do it for 20 minutes, John.
You'd be one of those WCI's worker comp injury guys right away.
Yeah,
right?
I like the confines of my home here. Right?
Hey, I don't blame you. I do too. When can I get over there and hang out there? Right?
Yep.
It's just I need to hide. So no, seriously though, you gotta take the victories where you can. And I don't want to jump into the Vikings game. I do want to get into that here in the next maybe 5-10 minutes because Bill was actually talking. We were talking a little bit about this. You know what? Let's just bring Bill in here and get into this right now. Let's talk. You mentioned travel, and Jerry, Bill brought up a pretty good point. They've got to go to Ireland. Look, they've had a few of these games in the past. Bill brought up the college game that began the football season, the Iowa State game, and they were playing, who was it, Kansas State.
Kansas State. Mm-hmm.
Weather wasn't good. It was August. Weather wasn't great. I think they played the Vikings. This is when Le'Veon Bell was here. They lost that game. Weather wasn't good for that particular one. That one was in England, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was at that game.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that weather not good. What do you feel about travel? I mean, Bill thought, leaving Wednesday, getting out early midweek is probably the right thing to do. How do you feel about the travel to Ireland for this game, just out of curiosity?
Well, it's a longer flight, obviously.
Right.
It's a little bit longer than it would be if they were going to the West Coast. What is it, 5 hours, Bill?
Yes.
To Dublin?
It's about six and a half.
Six and a half?
Yeah.
I think they're leaving. They may be leaving Thursday, John and Bill. I think they might be leaving Thursday, maybe not Wednesday, but normally they would leave on a Saturday. But they're going to give themselves some extra time to get acclimated to the time switch and everything else. You don't want to, play a game too soon after a long flight like that. But the NFL, wants to play games overseas. They want to extend their reach, extend their footprint, around the globe. They played a game in Brazil this year, right?
Right.
And Steelers have played in Spain. They played in Mexico. They played in Ireland before. They were preseason games. And this one constant in standings. And plus, they're playing a pretty good team. A team that scored 48 points today and is certainly a better team than the Patriots, probably a better team than the Seahawks or the Jets or the Steelers played previously. So it's not going to be easy playing the Vikings anywhere. But if you get out there early enough to get acclimated, to get yourself in a hotel, you run through a few practices before the game, some walkthroughs, I think they'll be fine. I think the travel won't be a factor once the game kicks off, unless they're leaving on a Saturday, which would be horrible. But I think I heard they're leaving on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check up on that to see when they're exactly leaving.
Thursday, go ahead.
Yeah.
You.
Well, I would give them a couple days to get acclimated to the time difference, but because it's 6-hour difference.
That's assuming they leave like midnight, get out there at a decent time on Thursday morning, right? That gives you essentially 3 full days to get acclimated, right?
Right.
Yeah, if you leave Thursday morning, you get there, I don't know, sometime around dinner time maybe, Ireland time, and then it's you have time, you have Friday and Saturday to get ready for the game.
Yeah, I'm sure the itinerary, if it hasn't already been released, we can probably get a hold of it and take a look at it and talk about it. You got another follow-up for Jerry by any chance?
Well, I wanted to ask you, Jerry, so one thing that I saw in this game today, not to kind of change the subject, shift off the Steelers and the Vikings, but, once again, the Patriots kind of exploited the middle of the field. As you saw Hunter Henry, he was, he had that touchdown,
He got hurt too,
yeah. But the Seahawks did the same thing. They exploited the middle of the field with Cooper Kupp and Smith and Jigba. What are they? That interior defense is suspect. What do they got to do to kind of get this shored up. I mean, they give up a lot of big pass plays up the middle, especially in the slot. I mean, I don't know what they got to do. I mean, do you think?
Well, Bill, they're not a perfect team. There's going to be
Right.
areas of the team that are going to suffer every week, and plus they're playing without Elliott, Highsmith, and Joey Porter Jr. Those are three starters. The 3/11th of your starting defense, was not to take. Highsmith is a guy that can put pressure on the quarterback, although Herbig did a nice job today in his place. But Drake May, to me, is a pretty good quarterback. I mean, yeah, he had a couple of the mistakes today. One was tipped. One of the interceptions was tipped, and he had the fumble, which you shouldn't do. He's a young guy, a second-year guy, but he threw for 268, 28 for 37, and a couple of touchdowns. He's a good player. I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL in the coming years. Maybe by the end of this season. I think the Patriots are going to be a better team a month from now than they are now. I'm almost positive. I think May is going to get better. I liked him as a college quarterback in North Carolina. I saw him play against Pitt. He was very good then. He obviously high first-round draft pick. The Steelers are going to get exploited. They're not that. Their defense. What did Mike Tomlin call it? Historically good or something like that. And the players are talking about it. This is the greatest defense ever. And I think Peyton Wilson said he's the best cover linebacker in the history of football. They're a good defense. They're not a great defense. And in some weeks they're not even good, as we've seen the last couple of weeks. Well, there's going to be problems, and they need. I don't know what they can do other than just play better. I mean, you're not going to bring in. You can't go to the waiver wire now to find anybody better than what they have. So I just think they just need to play better, and they need to put a little more pressure on the quarterback like they did today, and that'll help the secondary immensely.
Yeah, and that was one of our talking points in the pregame. Drake May, he's had a pretty strong start. To start off the season, he was averaging 258 passing yards per game, 71% completion rate. I said they need to pressure him. When he gets pressured, that goes kind of without saying. A lot of young quarterbacks, when they're pressured, they turnovers happen. He's been prone to fumbles. And I thought they did a great job of getting pressure and creating those turnovers.
He had a streak today of 13 completions in a row, which you don't see that very often. He ended up 28 for 37. And John, you got the computer mind. What percentage would that be? 28 for 37, maybe not 70, but still pretty darn good, right?
It's more than 75%. I know that much.
All right.
Well, if 37 is if 36 was 9 would be 36. 9 is 27, and he was just under 70. He's probably around 71, 72%.
That's what he was doing, coming into the game. He's a good quarterback playing against a defense that has its moments of production and when they play well. It also has its moments of not playing well. The last touchdown, second touchdown pass. I think Queen and Wilson looked at each other at the end of that play, like, what happened?
Right.
Why was that guy so wide open? It was Hunter, the tight end. He was wide open. It was a great call, by the Patriots offensive coordinator McDaniels. But the Steelers can't let that happen. There's going to be moments like that happen in a lot of games. I thought Patrick Queen played a good game today, but Peyton Wilson, for a young guy, just hasn't been able to turn into a solid starter. Holcomb played a little bit more today, which I like to see. Especially when he's defending the run. Go ahead, John.
What was it? What was the percentage? The first percentage I gave you?
You said 70. I haven't done it in my math.
I told you 75, right?
Yes.
It's 75.6 is what it was. So there you go. See. So
you're who you are.
Yeah. Well, I 1-4 in my picks already today, so it's not very good for me. Hopefully, anybody that was listening faded what I said. All right, Jerry DiPaolo spent many years here writing for the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review, covering all kinds of sports, Steelers, Pirates, Penguins, college, joining us in our post-game show. We're excited to have him. Early post-game next week, Jerry. Should probably be around 4:30, 1 o'clock, right?
I can't sleep in Sunday morning anymore, right?
Yeah, well, I don't even, and I got to get with Mark and the team here at North Park Lounge. I know they're going to have an early buffet here, but I don't know if we'll actually do 3 hours. I don't know if we'll be able to get in here at 6 a.m. We'll have to find out. We'll get it figured out. If it's a shortened, abbreviated version, it is what it is. But nonetheless, we'll be working for sure. Just out of curiosity, they didn't use their kicker today.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Boswell's on my fantasy team too.
Oh, is he? Is he really?
It made me mad. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Boswell sighting today. That's a rarity.
3 extra points. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but like and again, you have to when you're talking about this team, and I mentioned it in the pregame. I said if they win, it's going to probably come down to Boswell being somewhere from 50, 55.
I thought that
Yeah, I
would
mean,
come through.
I thought it would too. I mean, but look, 5 turnovers, and not playing well on the offensive side. I mean, New England really shot themselves in the foot, obviously today. And again, to the credit of the Steelers, they forced a couple of those turnovers.
They didn't punt at all, did they? New England, was there one punt by the Patriots today?
That's a great question. I don't
know.
I'm looking right now to see
5 turnovers and a couple touchdowns.
The Steelers had no punt returns, so you are right. New England only returned 1 punt today.
Yeah.
So between the two teams, they punted the ball once.
Yeah.
So they had 2 the possessions to end each half, 6 turnovers, and then the 5 scoring drives. That's 13. I guess there were only 14 possessions. I'm going to go and look at this just to make sure.
Well, for all the turnovers,
that's very astute.
Patriots had, a bunch of they had committed a lot of turnovers, but they still won the time of possession battle. When do you see that? A team turns over the ball 5 times and still, possesses the ball longer than the other team. That doesn't happen very often either. That's why it was such a quirky, crazy game. And you got to give the Steelers, credit for winning a game like this because it could have easily gone the other way.
Yeah, it's 18 possessions. They had 1 on downs, the 6 turnovers. It's the 5 scoring drives, 5, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm missing a few here, somewhere in here. Yeah, just 1 punt. No, the Steelers had more than that. They had 3 punts. The Steelers had 3 punts.
The Patriots had none, right?
New England did fumble, punt. No, they did have a punt.
They did?
They had 1, but no return.
Okay.
So they had at least 1 punt that I can see here, and we're just kind of going through. Yeah, they had 1 punt. That's it. Steelers had 3. So they did punt the ball, but there were no returns.
They won the time of possession battle, 33-27.
Yes, they did. I'm going back and looking at the box score now on that.
For a team that turns the ball over 5 times, you don't see that happen very often. It's a crazy game, but they had the veteran quarterback at the end to win the game, and the veteran sack artist at the end of the game to make the sacks and the big fumble recovery. I heard him say on TV today that it's the second oldest team in the league. That's a double-edged sword, but I think today it helped because he had some experienced guys, making big plays at crucial moments that rookies don't make. Drake May isn't a rookie, but he's a young guy, and he's going to be prone to mistakes being a young guy. You probably would rather have Drake May as your quarterback for the future, but for now, Rodgers is the best thing for the Steelers.
So if I told you Team A had 26 first downs versus Team B 17, if I told you that they were 6 of 13 on 3rd down, 4 of 5 on 4th down, outgained the opponent by 166 yards, and won the time of possession battle by 6 minutes, you would probably think that they would have won, right?
Right.
But not the case today.
That's Mike Tomlin's magic,
Yeah.
He somehow finds a way to win. And he finds a way to win against the Jets, too. All those conversions, 3rd down and 4th down conversions, they had 4 in a row before the last one.
Yeah.
And 6 out of 9, I think, at one point, before they ended up 6 out of 13, I think it was.
Yeah, it was not good.
Yeah. They got to get off the field on 3rd down. They did. I give Mike Vrabel a lot of credit going for 4th down. Didn't he go for 4th down on the 15-yard line early in the game?
He did. Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
And it worked out for him. Give him credit. I covered the Steelers back in the day when Vrabel was a linebacker, and he was always the kind of guy who would speak his mind, and he would get up in the locker room and talk to real good talker as far as an interview. Vrabel was, and I think he's going to be a heck of a head coach in the NFL because the Patriots, to me, are going to be a good team. They hang on to the ball today, they win the game.
Yeah, they most certainly do. Ronnie Hunter checking in via YouTube. We are not controlling the ball possession. You're right. They have
no
not.
running game. No running game.
No running game to
Right.
do so, and that's 100% accurate. This is Steel City Sunday Post Game live from the North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Event Center. Bill Aikens alongside of me, John Phillips, Jerry DePaula joining us in our post game show. We are live, and we're gonna stay on for another 15 minutes or so. We'll keep Jerry on for another 5 or 10 before we wrap up. I do want to mention that, again, this portion of today's show brought to us by Arch Masonry and Restoration. Looking for bricklayers, block layers, concrete finishers, and labor help. If you don't have experience, no problem. You can learn on the job. They have advancement programs, classes that can jumpstart your career in the building trades. 412-564-5733 or visit archmasonryinc.com to learn more. Jerry, next week, the Vikings, they had Carson Wentz at quarterback today, looked obviously very good. He played extremely well. They played a team that did not have a all-pro quarterback on their side of the ball. Joe Burrow, who knows how long he's going to be out. Jake Browning, who came in late last week and was able to engineer a victory, 19 of 27, 140 yards, 2 picks. Not a good day for the Bengals. Meanwhile, Wentz, efficient. 14 of 20, 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the running game for the Vikings, they chewed up 169 yards on the ground. A little concerning for next week.
Jordan Mason, 116 yards.
Yeah, and a pair of touchdowns. They also defensively had at least one defensive touchdown that I can remember in that contest. So, they're going to face a pretty good football team. I think they won 14 games last year. I think it was 13 or 14 games. They 14
games.
Games.
Definitely a playoff team.
Yeah, they did. They lost in the wild card to the Rams at home, but 14 wins last year. Obviously, a change at quarterback, but nonetheless, a pretty good football team. The best one.
They get Jordan Addison back, right? From his suspension? 3 games suspension?
3 games, yeah, so they're going to get him back as well. So there you go. That's it. 2 defensive touchdowns for the Vikings today. 2 of them. A fumble return and a pick 6 that ended up being returned for a score. So
the Bengals are going to miss Joe Burrow big time.
Yeah, they're going to miss him for sure. And who knows, they're talking up to 3 months. That's the majority of the season. Right. Injuries are a part of the game, and that's unfortunate. I don't think he's injury prone. He's just fallen, succumbed to, just bad luck for sure. But the Vikings concern me. They definitely are a concern for next week. I'm sure we'll talk more along the week as it progresses. But they have to obviously rally around this effort today. The defense does. I don't know if they're going to get 5 turnovers next week against this Vikings team. That's
I doubt it.
I look at it, and they're not. I'm not saying that Carson Wentz will be explosive. He was very efficient today. Their defense chipped in. Their running game is the concern. And again, Harmon playing today. Great effort from him. The defense just looked better. Early thoughts, 7 days away. What do you think in terms of that matchup?
They're not going to beat the Vikings if they can't control the ball with the running game. They're just not going to do it. They're not going to get 5 turnovers. They may not get 5 turnovers in the next 3 games. And the turnovers today helped them win the game, obviously. But you can't count on those. They're nice and they turn the tide of the game. But unless you can control the ball and you get put points on the board and not have to depend on their defense to win the game for you. The Vikings, like I said, they get Jordan Addison back next week. Yeah, they're missing their starting quarterback, but really, they're a much better team than what the Steelers have already faced. And I think they're a team that's going to go to the playoffs and maybe make a run in the playoffs if they get to. And J.J. McCarthy is hurt and he's going to miss a few games, but Carson Wentz, he was very well thought of coming out of college several years ago and has really struggled as an NFL quarterback. But, he can victimize that Steelers defense. That's, like I said, the confusion for the last touchdown pass today is something that they need to work on, obviously.
We got a comment from Ron Riganowar. Right, Noir. How do you pronounce that? Help me. Right, Noir. Ron, did Jalen Ramsey even play? Did he get hurt? Or was he just as invisible as it seems? He had credit for 1 tackle. one total tackle.
He was invisible then, right?
He was quiet, but look,
They needed him to step up because they had guys hurt. Porter didn't play. Elliott didn't play. Ramsey, he has to really step up when there's a beat up secondary, and he didn't.
A lot of shorter passes and a lot down the middle to the tight end Hunter Henry. Henry destroyed them across the middle, and Ramsey's probably not going to have that coverage. He's going to have somebody else, whoever you would consider to be Boutte, if it's Boutte out of the backfield. Maybe he had Diggs, maybe he had Max Hollins.
Maybe he got hurt and missed part of the game. I didn't see him on the field very much.
Yeah, and I didn't see anything from any of the guys from the Trib or the PG that were at the game talking about it. Usually those guys are pretty spot on when injuries happen. They're able to,
he was active. We know that, right? He had a tackle.
Yeah, he was 100% active. He definitely had a tackle in this contest. All right, Jerry, we're going to let you go in here in just a few minutes. Any final thoughts that you might want to share after this 21-14 victory?
Well, I don't want to be down on the Steelers because they're 2-1, and there's a long season to go, and things change from September to December. But right now they don't look special. Right now they look like we said earlier, a team that's going to sneak into the playoffs and get beat in the first round again. And that's the point this season to get beyond that, which they weren't able to do the last several years. The last time they were in the playoffs was almost 10 years ago, or won a playoff game was almost 10 years ago. They look like the kind of team that's going to do it again. And again, I keep saying it. If they can't run the football, you're not going to beat good teams, and I really think next week, John, you just put all your money on the Vikings.
Wow, I can retire. Did you hear that, Bill?
No, I didn't say that. I just said you might win a couple of shekels, but I don't know if you want to retire.
I think a cinder block hit my ear when you said that, Jerry. Jerry DePaula, I'm so excited to have you for the rest of the season. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, John. I had a good time today.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you in a week.
I'll be there. I can't wait to see you at the NPL one of these days.
All right. Well, hopefully, we'll get you out here. It'll be after the bye week for sure, but we'll get it figured out. I promise. All right?
Sounds good, Johnny. Thanks.
Thank you, Jerry DePaula, longtime writer here in Pittsburgh. Spent many years at the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review, covered every major pro sports team and college team for nearly 40 years here in the great city of Pittsburgh. Some final thoughts with Bill Akins as we pull him in on this edition of Steel City Sunday post-game edition. We'll do the triple box, the double box. There we go. Bill, a couple thoughts here before we wrap things up.
Well, like I said, a win's a win. The Patriots shot themselves in the foot. I mean, you're not going to win when you have 5 turnovers, but I'll take it. Going to be a little bit of a test next week, though. You got a Vikings team that I think is a little bit better. You're got it playing in a way different time zone, and it's that traveling sometimes can take a toll on you. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to even which way to even go with this Vikings game. I mean, I think it's going to be tough. I mean, you saw what Wentz did today. In the Vikings, granted it was against, Jake Browning, in the Cincinnati Bengals, but still, they're going to have their work cut out for them next week, I believe. So
yeah, they're going to have a tremendous deficit facing them. The Vikings by far the best team of the 4 that they will have played. No question about it. Pretty aggressive defense, obviously. Balance. They can run the ball for sure. Look, getting Harmon back to play certainly did something. They created opportunities for themselves defensively. Cam played his best game of the year. TJ, best game of the year. No question about it. The offense, when they had the ball and needed to put a drive together, they put 3, and that was enough, forcing turnovers, but they can't run the ball still. And offensively, they just look awful. They just look inconsistent enough, and that's a concern.
And then when like Jerry alluded to, all you got to do is look at the time of possession. That tells you all you need to know. Listen, another thing, I'm not happy about Week 5 bye week either. That's early.
Yeah.
I mean, having a bye week in the beginning of October, that's you'd like to have it. I mean, hey, they've had it the last few years kind of in the middle of the season, so I guess they were due for one. But it's nice to have it mid-November. That's the ideal time to have a bye week.
Week 6, week 7, week 8.
Yeah.
You want to be in there because you've got 5-6 games under your belt. You want a little bit of a break. Week 8, week 9.
Even the end of October would be fine. But it is what it is. They've got this game in Ireland. Got to get through that and get your bye week and see. Go from there. So.
All right, let's go through the quick scores here to wrap up this show. Currently in progress. We'll start with games in progress right now. Second quarter scores here. Late second quarter from SoFi. The Chargers lead Denver 10-0. Right now it's a blowout in Seattle. The Seahawks handling New Orleans 35-3. About 2.5 minutes to go in the second quarter of that one. A real slobber knocker in San Francisco. 3-3 the score in that one. 2 minutes to go. They're at the 2-minute warning. San Francisco with the football at their 20. 8 minutes to go in the second quarter from the Windy City in Chicago, and the Bears lead Dallas by a score of 14-6. Let's cover the finals from 1 o'clock. They're all in officially. Minnesota beat up Cincinnati 48-10. Indianapolis beat Tennessee 41-20. Jacksonville 17. Houston 10. The Jaguars are now 2-1 on the season. Carolina shuts out Atlanta 30-0. The Eagles win and cover on the game's final play 33-26. They were winning 27-26. The Rams were going for a game-winning field goal. It was blocked and then later returned for a touchdown. Tampa Bay was trying to get a 2-possession advantage late in the fourth quarter against the Jets. The Jets blocked the field goal, returned that for a touchdown, but leave time on the clock for Tampa to get a drive. They kick a field goal, 5 in the game. Tampa Bay 3-0. They defeat the Jets 29-27. Washington, no problems with the Raiders, 41-24 final. And Cleveland gets their first win on the season. They beat Green Bay 13-10. Any final thoughts before we wrap this puppy up?
No, I mean, like I said, it's win's a win. Happy that they were able to get it done today. It's nice to be going, 2-1 again into this Vikings game. Let's hope they come back 3-1. I don't know, but like you said, going 2-2 into that bye week, not necessarily a bad thing.
No, not at all. I mean, it's better than being 1-3. I can tell you that right now.
Correct.
Better than being 1-3. And coming into today, I thought that's where they're heading. But we'll see what happens next week. That's why they play the games, folks.
And then you come back from that bye week, and then you got the Browns at home. So
that's it. Got to look ahead at the schedule for sure and see what they have coming down the road. All right. Want to thank all of our guests today. Of course, Mike Oste, Matt Peralt. A real tough day, obviously, with the passing of his partner on Bostonian versus the book, and a friend of mine, Dave Sharapan, sportsbook consigliere, passing away last night. That news breaking right as we were ending our pregame show. We want to thank John Merges, professional sports bettor out of Florida, and of course ran book for the Chicago Mob many, many years ago. Paul Zeiss, he can shoot an 81 and then do an hour of pregame. Great job by him. We thank him. Zick Fracassi, of course, and our good friend Jerry DePaula joining us. For my partner Bill Akins, who we can't do this show without him, I'm John Phillips. Rest in peace, Dave. Rest in peace, my friend. All right, we'll see you next week. We will post a pregame show time later in the week. We probably won't be on the air at 6 a.m. I don't think that'll happen. Probably an 8 a.m. start next week. Abbreviated pregame show, full postgame afterwards. Nonetheless, we will be here at the North Park Lounge, Richland, and the Hilltop Events Center. For the entire cast and crew, I'm JP saying good night. Steelers 21. New England 14. We've been very happy to share all of that with you here on Steel City Sunday postgame here on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Good night, everybody.